I never considered myself someone driven by vengeance. My foundation was built on fairness, on compassion, and the quiet, resilient strength of moving forward. I believed in healing, not in harming, yet those ideals, once as solid as the vows I exchanged with Clara, crumbled in a single, searing moment one Saturday night at a high society gathering hosted by one of her colleagues. The evening had begun with grace, laced in elegance and familiar affection. After 8 years of marriage, Clara and I had fallen into a comforting rhythm. I still saw us as a team, worn but unshaken. We entered the venue together, her arm gently looped through mine. Her emerald dress shimmered beneath the golden glow of a sprawling chandelier, a cascade of light dancing along the silk as she moved. Her laughter, airy and lilting, echoed through the space as she tossed her chestnut hair over one shoulder. She turned heads effortlessly, radiant in a way that filled me with a quiet pride. She was still my partner, still the woman I had chosen, or so I thought. The evening unfolded in a predictable blur: cordial small talk, perfumed greetings, the delicate clink of wine glasses, and fleeting conversations built on polished pleasantries. Clara introduced me to a stream of colleagues, among them a tall, broad-shouldered man named Evan. His handshake was firm, his grin practiced and self-assured, the type of man who seemed to expect the world to lean in when he spoke. Clara had mentioned him once or twice, new to her team, sharp, ambitious, endlessly charming. He greeted me with the right words, but something in his gaze unsettled me. It lingered too long on Clara, too confidently, as if he'd already written himself into a story he had no right to. I tried to brush it off, chalk it up to a misplaced insecurity. I told myself I was reading too much into nothing. Clara was mine. We had history, a home, shared dreams. No man, no matter how magnetic or brazen, could unravel that. But as the evening wore on, a low, gnawing unease bloomed in my gut. I caught glimpses of them together, again and again, drawn to each other like to magnets in a crowded room. Their laughter rose above the hum of conversation, not careless, but intimate, a melody only the two of them seemed to hear. I stood quietly among the chatter, nursing my drink and feigning interest in half-hearted discussions. My eyes kept drifting back to her, drawn by instinct. The way she smiled at him, the warmth in her gaze, the tilt of her head, all of it felt foreign, wrong. That smile used to be mine. Still, I clung to composure. Jealousy could twist perception. I would not fall prey to it. We were solid. I reminded myself of that like a mantra, until the moment it shattered. I returned from the bar with a fresh drink in hand, and as I approached the terrace doors, I saw them, Clara and Evan. She stood with her back partially turned to me, her laughter clear and vibrant. His hand rested low on her back, too low, far beneath what any innocent touch could excuse. Then, as if time itself slowed, I watched his fingers slip beneath the hem of her dress. Clara did not recoil. She did not step away. Instead, she leaned into him slightly, her lips parted in a knowing, familiar gesture, one I'd seen countless times before, meant for me. My hand trembled, the glass tilting dangerously in my grip. For a moment, I stood motionless, disbelief anchoring me to the ground. Was I misreading this? Was there a harmless explanation? But Evan's smug expression and Clara's soft smile left no room for doubt. This was no illusion, no misunderstanding. It was betrayal, raw and deliberate. The fury came fast, a wildfire surging through my veins. Every instinct screamed to confront him, to drag him from the terrace and wipe that smirk from his face. But I didn't. I turned. I left. I slipped out into the night without a word, my mind already calculating not revenge for pain's sake, but justice. I would not act rashly. I would act precisely. The following days blurred into a haze of routine and restraint. I maintained the image of normalcy, masking the storm brewing within. Clara, as if oblivious, continued on without a change in demeanor. Her calm shattered me more than any confession could have. She thought she had gotten away with it. She thought I was blind. But I had learned long ago, patience is power. I began to investigate quietly. Clara's carelessness worked in my favor. While she showered, her phone sat unguarded. A quick scroll revealed everything. Texts exchanged with Evan, suggestive, explicit, months' worth. There was no hesitation, no regret in her words. This wasn't a fleeting lapse. It was an affair calculated, nurtured, and hidden in plain sight. The betrayal struck like a hammer to the chest, but the pain only sharpened my focus. Evan was married. I remembered meeting his wife, Sophia, quiet, elegant, and undeserving of the same wound I now bore. I reached out to her anonymously, giving her enough to connect the dots. She responded swiftly, hurt, but strong. An unlikely partnership formed between us. Born of shared betrayal, we began to plan. Two strangers aligned in a single mission, the exposure of a lie. Together, we crafted an evening, a dinner party under the guise of celebration of vague accomplishment Clara had recently achieved. She was ecstatic, especially when I told her Evan and his wife would be attending. She even asked me to choose the wine. The irony made me laugh, bitter and hollow. The trap was set, dressed in fine china and soft candlelight. The night came. I played the gracious host to perfection. Sophia and I exchanged subtle glances of quiet alliance. Clara and Evan arrived separately, but couldn't hide the spark that flickered between them. Their confidence only fueled my resolve. They had no idea the walls were listening. Hidden cameras and microphones, meticulously installed days earlier, recorded every whispered word, every lingering glance. Clara and Evan basked in their deceit, savoring it like forbidden fruit. Sophia had suggested the surveillance. I had executed it with cold precision. Midway through dinner, I stood and excused myself, citing a dessert I had to fetch. Sophia followed. After a minute, the signal agreed upon. Clara and Evan remained at the table, no doubt relishing their twisted game. When we returned, the tone had shifted. I lifted my glass and made a toast, my voice calm and deliberate. To truth, I said. To fidelity. Clara's smile faltered, just a flicker, before she masked it with a sip of wine. Dessert was served untouched. The air tightened like a string pulled to taut. I set down my fork and exhaled softly. I have something to share, I said. All eyes turned. Clara's met mine, and I saw it, uncertainty blooming behind the confident mask. I picked up a small remote and pressed a button. The screen on the wall flickered to life, displaying a still frame. Clara froze. The image showed her on the terrace, Evan's hand clearly beneath her dress. "What is this?" she whispered, her voice trembling. "Evidence," I said evenly. I pressed play. The room went silent. Footage unfolded with merciless clarity, every illicit touch, every damning look. Sophia's hands clenched into fists. Her expression hardened as the last illusion shattered. When the video ended, I turned to Clara, whose face was streaked with tears. She opened her mouth, but I raised a hand. "No," I said. "I don't want your excuses. I don't need them. This isn't about salvaging what you threw away. It's about accountability." Sophia stood, her voice trembling but controlled. "Evan," she said, "expect divorce papers. Don't come home tonight. Don't ever come near me again." Evan tried to respond, but his voice caught in his throat. He wilted in his seat. Clara reached for me, weeping now, begging, saying it was meaningless. "A mistake, a moment of weakness. This isn't just about you and me," I said, my voice firm and final. "This is about the respect you failed to show for our marriage, for yourself. You chose this, and now you live with it." I stood slowly. "I'll be filing for divorce in the morning. The documents are ready. Don't expect to leave with more than you came in with. I've made sure of that." She collapsed into sobs, but I felt nothing, no pity, no regret, just clarity. What once was love had hardened into something impenetrable, solid, cold, and absolute. The fallout came quickly. Sophia followed through, filing for divorce and taking the evidence public. Evan's professional image crumbled. His resignation came quietly but swiftly. Clara tried to reach out in the aftermath, calls, emails, letters filled with regret. I ignored them all. There was no closure she could offer that would undo the truth. I left the city, found work elsewhere, built a new life unshackled by the weight of betrayal. The pain lingered, but it became quieter, less cruel. In time, I found peace not in revenge, but in restoration. What was stolen from me had been returned. My dignity, my clarity, my future. Revenge hadn't healed me, but it had rebalanced the scales. And sometimes, balance is the beginning of everything new.